listening to Consulting Logistics, presented by Aborn and Company. I'm your host, Tim Dooner. Thanks for pressing play today. I'm excited about today's show because we're going to be talking about container homes. And I love container homes, but these are container homes with a cause. They're not just any container homes. My guest is Ian Zaretzky, CEO and co-founder of Bulk Container Group. I caught wind of his ambitious and noble efforts to put 20 homeless veterans into mortgage-free container homes before winter hits. Well, I didn't serve in the military. My dad is ex-Air Force and a Vietnam vet. You never know where life will lead you, good or bad. And to even think a guy like my dad who served his country could be sleeping under newspaper in a New England winter breaks my heart. So let's get Ian on the air so he can tell us more about the project and let us know how we can help. Ian, thank you so much for dialing into Consulting Logistics today.
Absolutely, Tim. Look forward to the show.
Well, Ian, he has a great project, as I mentioned at the top, but let's qualify you for a second here. I know that you're the man for the job, but let's let the listeners know why. Because your background is most impressive. Ian was director of sales for XPO Logistics, and if you've been following this industry at all, you'd know just how big of a giant XPO has grown to be, and they've done it in near record time. In addition, he is now the CEO and co-founder of Bulk Container Group, and a fine, upstanding gentleman who's here today to do the Lord's work with this Container Homes for Veterans project. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're trying to do here with that cause?
Yeah, absolutely, Tim. So what we do as a company or as a team is very, very much in line with the container homes business or industry. So we know that there's over 1 million war vets from Vietnam through Afghanistan that have struggled with chronic homelessness and often along with mental health issues and addiction issues. And it's certainly near and dear to my heart coming from a military family, having lived on bases and seen it firsthand. And for us, we have the capability and certainly our capability to build these homes at a low cost on scale is certainly something exciting for us and near and dear to my heart.
That's fantastic. But let's talk about this a little bit because I mentioned your background, right? So color in that outline I drew. Like, for example, what led you from XPO to what you're doing now with container homes and being one of the main suppliers of containers to container home manufacturers in America? That's kind of a big pivot.
Yeah, I was with XPO from the very, very, very get-go. I was part of the original acquisition. I was number 5 on the payroll, built out their 3PL systems. But the pivot happened quite uniquely, actually. I left XPO in November due to my entrepreneurial spirit, wanted to get back out and build another company and build a brand. So for me, I actually was approached by Rio Tinto. Rio Tinto is a fairly significant mining company out there in Salt Lake City. They've got a massive copper mine. And their need was to build a protection wall, a safety wall out of containers. They needed to protect the operations on the bottom of the pit due to rolling rocks or rocks coming into the operations area. So they asked me to go out and procure, based on my knowledge of the container industry, procure 126 units to build a safety wall in their mine, the bottom of the pit there. I quickly did that over a 5-day period with my supply chain knowledge, managed to truck in, procure 126 units and managed to put the mine back in operation because they'd actually shut down the mine. And from that, I certainly saw a need in the market or a gap in the market from a technology standpoint, from a procurement standpoint of containers and resources and finding and procuring containers. So my first customer, my first phone call was to a company called My Mini Casa. Thought it was intriguing that these guys are building homes out of containers. I saw a gap in the market for military housing, homelessness, and obviously building on scale. So My Mini Casa is certainly doing good things, along with a number of other companies. But I approached them. They buy about 17,000 containers a year, and we quickly became partners in the respects of I became his procurement team. So it was a very, very easy transition, and it's been very, very fruitful ever since.
I think that being in the logistics business and in supply chain, having to deal with containers all the time, there's almost this kinship to container homes. I know that I'm always drawn to them. And on like LinkedIn, for example, whenever I share articles of 10 coolest container homes, they always get like 20 or 30 likes People love container homes, but like how big of a growth market is this? How many containers do you guys sell? And is it in an upward trajectory? I would imagine, right? Because you started an entire company behind it.
Most definitely. We actually service, I would suggest, 90 to almost probably 100% of the container home businesses in this country. And there is literally right now probably 30 or 40 major companies out there designing houses, low-income houses and low-cost houses, right the way up to 4,000 square foot mansions out of containers. Such an easy modular build. The structure's already there. It's obviously hurricane-proof and somewhat earthquake-proof, and it's there forever. We're seeing at the moment, and my company probably trades in and around 23 to 25,000 containers a year. Of that, I would say 30% are going into build. We've actually recently just signed and penned a deal with the city of Cleveland through a company called Tremont Development, a non-profit, to actually fix a blighted neighborhood. We're building 26 homes there, and in an area where these homes have been bulldozed for various reasons through to misuse, vandalism, and somewhat a very, very blighted neighborhood. So we're very proud to be starting to be involved with heavy government federal funding. It's certainly something that's going to change the way government and federal money is spent on the homeless issue and the homeless crisis, particularly with focus on the vets. And I'm not sure if you know, Tim, but in 2009, there was certainly a federal announcement that the goal to end homeless vets. That was certainly something that was huge, and around about 30% of all homeless was actually vets back in 2009. Thankfully, this initiative, since 2010 through 2017, has actually halved that number completely. We are still looking at tens of thousands of vets on the streets, and certainly this project and what we do is looking to fix that issue.
I love it. I love that in logistics now, it seems like a lot of intelligent and innovative thinkers are coming into our field now. They're repurposing container homes. They're starting to use data better. They're starting to bring tech up there. It seems like our industry is finally getting modern and on pace with other industries. And it's great to see that happen because I think that we'd been kind of backward for a long time.
I agree, Tim. I agree, particularly on the container trade side. It's very much, they're stuck in the previous century. There's very little technology, and the blockchain becoming a real thing, a real element to logistics as a whole. I think blockchain and container trading, commodity trading on this side of the fence is certainly going to be very, very different in the next 5 to 10 years.
Well, and now you want to use these resources, this company that you built, to give back. Tell us a little bit about the project in terms of what are the logistics behind it. You want to build 20 container homes for veterans, right? Mortgage free.
Correct.
To get them off the streets this winter. Where are you going to build them? How are you going to build them? And what are they going to look like?
Very good question. So what we're looking to do is, particularly in Chicago, and I'm not focused purely on Chicago. I think anywhere in the Midwest is really a focus for me, just due to the nature of the weather up here and how cold with the snow, etc. So for me, we want to do 20 homes for veterans, mortgage-free, turnkey, furnished units. That's essentially our goal. And the way we're going to do that from a logistics standpoint is my company will procure the units. We will modify and fabricate the units with a company called Container Homes USA. They were actually the eco builder of the year last year. Very, very great team, great designers, and great builders. So we've teamed up with them on this project, and certainly we feel that we can achieve it, provided we have the funding. So logistically, we actually move and procure the containers into a facility there in either Cleveland or Chicago, which we manufacture and modify these containers. Then we move them from factory to foundation. Foundation is very, very little prep work. We actually acquire the land from the land bank. So again, these are donated land. It's donated blocks of land from the city. And essentially, we've already got Chicago and Cleveland on board for the project. We've also got Milwaukee and Detroit on board for the project. So they're willing to give us land for $1 a piece. But we actually buy the land for $1 a piece. We manufacture these particular homes. 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, beautiful homes. They're actually cladded out. They look like a traditional home. You wouldn't go to shipping container by the time they're done. Traditional cladding, pitched roof, beautiful interiors, and we're actually looking at almost 10-foot ceilings inside. So it's certainly would look like a normal home, feel like a normal home, but the cost of the construction is about a third of what traditional brick and mortar is. And we can do it so much faster, Tim. We can produce anywhere between 4 and 5 houses a day through this process. Hence why we believe that we've got a product and a service here that can essentially impact the total number of homeless or the total number of families that don't have the ability to own the American dream.
Be our realtor for a second. Take me through this home because And one of the reasons I ask is I think a lot of our listeners, being a logistics show, they've actually been inside of a shipping container, but they've been inside of one that, they're emptying boxes out of. So to them, they might be like, wait, isn't it really noisy inside of a shipping container and this cold, angular environment? What is it like once you get done with these? And what's the floor plan like? Like when I walk into this veteran's brand new home, what's it like?
Yeah, we've got a number of different designs. In fact, we've got 70 different designs in all that we've actually got architecturally and mechanically stamped. These homes are very much don't look like will feel like a container. Essentially, we come in first and we put a spray insulation on the inside of the container, which obviously acts on the sound deadener. So the insulation and the product we're producing is certainly it's a very modern home. And once we've put the essentially plaster, fixtures, fittings, layout, all traditional mod cons. We've got channel partners in Collier and also windows and doors. We've also got a number of different channel partners like Mitsubishi who provide the air conditioning at very much a wholesale cost. So for us, we've got some great channel partners to provide all the fixtures and the fittings. The designer is again, he won Eco Builder of the Year last year for some of his designs and what he does. So from a layout standpoint, think of it as a traditional home. You walk through the front door, you're into a master living area. And for those of you that understand containers, it's not a single container. We're actually cutting out walls of one side of the container, matching two containers together to make a great room, right through to stacking. We've actually got 4 containers, so 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top. And we use a 20 for actual garage. These homes are essentially wide open, very modern. So yeah, it's certainly the design standpoint, that's not my field, but certainly very proud to be partnered with the right design.
And we touched on this. So this is for veterans and it's for the winter. What is the issue with veteran homelessness right now? You mentioned that you come from a military family, so it's near and dear to your heart. But even if it wasn't, in terms of social action, are there some numbers, some statistics? How many people are going to be stuck on the street this winter that served this country and don't belong there?
Well, you look at the total number of approximate total number of homelessness today, you're looking at over 550,000 people living on the streets today. And if we look at that number, at about 1/3 of those people are veterans. It's a very unfortunate statistic, and it's a very scary statistic for me, for people who have served the country. So that's an enormous number. It's an enormous burden on federal to try and look after it themselves. And certainly, I think we need to take action as corporate leaders and businesses in this country. If we can give back and we have the ability to give back, I think we should, particularly for veterans. Veterans have been there for us and provided the services they've provided to allow our freedoms. And certainly for me, if I can do anything to help these guys off the street and not freeze to death, I'm certainly all for that, and will do everything I possibly can to get that done.
That's a massively depressing number there for homelessness, especially veteran homelessness. You're out to do 20 containers, right? There's 500,000. So how do you decide who's going to get the homes when they're completed?
We are working with two major corporations that are involved with homelessness and veterans, one being the Wounded Warrior Project and the other one being Mission 22. Both of these organizations are very, very well respected, well known, and certainly two organizations that can make those decisions for us. We certainly don't want to be picking and choosing ourselves. It's not our decision. We feel these organizations have already got the right candidates and have vetted these candidates, and certainly vets that are really trying to come back and rebuild their lives back here in this country, and whether it be an old vet or whether it be a recent vet. For me, I want to do a whole lot more than 20, Tim, that is for sure. But, I'm not going to make those decisions, and I feel that my team wouldn't be capable of making the right decisions, so we're going to leave it in the hands of people that have been doing this type of work for many, many years.
Oh, I like that. I mean, I'm sold. That's why I had you on the show, because I saw you post this on LinkedIn. I'm firmly behind the cause. How can our listeners donate to this? Because I know that you're running a GoFundMe. You're trying to raise, I believe, $1 million to help support this cause, right? Is that how much is the...
Correct.
So how do they go and get to the GoFundMe page, and how do they get in touch with you to get more information on this if need be?
Well, you can certainly go to my website and we can guide you through. My website is bulkcontainergroup.com. You can also email me at ian@bulkcontainergroup.com. The GoFundMe page is up and running, so you can certainly find us on there.
And that GoFundMe link is a little unwieldy, so I'll put that in the show notes. It's not the kind of thing you're going to read and write down while you're driving down the highway. I don't want you to crash into the side of an overpass, because you still need to donate. So in the show notes, there'll be the GoFundMe link. There'll be the link to everything that Ian said. Go up there, support it. It is a great cause. Veterans Day is coming up, Thanksgiving, and then Christmas. Let's give these guys a home, a place they can put their Christmas tree or their menorah or whatever the heck they want because they deserve it, because they served this country. All right, so you mentioned $1 million. You're trying to raise $1 million, but you don't necessarily have to raise $1 million because a certain amount will buy each home. Tell us a little bit about that so people don't feel discouraged if the number seems too large.
Yeah, absolutely, Tim. And that was one of our fears when we first put the campaign up. But what I'd like your listeners to know is for every $50,000 that we can raise, we can actually put a vet in a home. It's our cost, and it's our true cost for actually putting one of these 2-bedroom, 1-bathrooms on the ground. And so certainly $50,000 for every $50,000 we raise, we're able to put one vet in a home.
We should easily be able to achieve that, people. Let's put our collective heads and wallets together and make it happen. Ian, this is great. I'm so glad you came on here to share your story with us. You have a great background to it, an amazing thing, but I really wanted to keep this focused on the cause here. Let's get these veterans their homes first, because I want you to come back in the new year to tell us exactly how this project went down and also to cover your great and amazing background. How does that sound?
Sounds like a plan, Tim.
Great, Ian. Thank you very much. Thanks again.
Awesome. Thanks, Tim. Look forward to the follow-up.
As Ian said, head on over to bulkcontainergroup.com. You can find all of the details for that. You can also find a link to the GoFundMe page right in the show notes from where you played this podcast. Looking to modernize, digitize, and future-proof your supply chain? Visit day1.io for a free Day 1 Data Optimization Report. That's day, 0, 1.io. Isn't it time you got optimized? For this episode and all of our previous shows, head on over to consultinglogistics.io or simply search Consulting Logistics on your favorite podcast player of choice. Questions, comments, and guest bookings, email me at tdooner@abornandco.com. That's TDOONER@abornandco.com. I'd be happy to hear from you. For Ian Zaretzky, I'm Tim Dooner, saying take care and happy shipping.